Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe. There is a notifications bell down in one of the corners that will let you know as to when I'm going live. So today I want to talk about I've been a very busy girl and I don't think that I have talked to you guys since Valentine's Day. And I was I hi Megan. So I had to rest for a few days. I was not feeling good. And then I got this beautiful surprise and it was wonderful. I got this surprise and thank you so much to Brian M who sent a bath thing and chocolates and my favorite candles. Hi Q family and all these things. It was really wonderful. I was able to totally have a um skincare, me care, bath time day, and it was wonderful. So, since then, this is what I've been up to. So, we are doing our best to reach out to different organizations and get them involved with resolution to end homelessness. And I have kind of, I don't know if it's exciting news yet, but I wanted to talk about opportunities and come up. So today I was down in the office because I'm also at this time. I want to, in our building, it's very separate. Like we don't know our neighbors, things like that. And I think that if we're going to have community cohesion, we need to get together and at least know one another, know who each other are. And so I was down in the office and we were kind of just planning out maybe some events that we can do, like resident appreciation, whatever it may be. And I was having a conversation with the building manager, and he came up with he's from a different area in the United States. And so I understand um, that he was talking to me, and this is my demographic. This is what I study. This is what I know. I eat, breathe, and sleep unhoused issues. And of course, he just came. He popped off with some stereotypes like, well, people have a choice. And I'm like, do they though? Like, what are the choices? What are the options available to them? Like, what do you define choice as? Because I don't believe that there's much of a choice in like the choices I had when I got to Seattle. My choices were A, to go to a shelter, which I was honestly not down for. Um, Especially not being medicated at the time. I had really bad personal space issues, very aggressive because of frontal lobe injuries. Yeah, I was not that girl. And so my choices really came down to, well, do you want to sleep on the streets, like in a doorway or in a park or on a bench? Or do you want to live in a community? And if so, what kind of community do you want to live in? And that came down to I lived with the youth and I became a camp mom. So, I mean, but still, the choices were homelessness or homelessness. That's not a choice. There are different options within that sphere, but that's not a choice. That's and so I kind of got a little testy about it. And then I realized this is I- it, okay. After I had this conversation and I got a little upset and had to go and apologize because I got a little upset, um, I realized I had had a phone conversation on another matter. And the person I was speaking to said, it's really good to have those kind of people around sometimes. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I'm usually very good at dealing with um, people of people who may be misinformed, people who might have a certain idea that isn't necessarily, aligning with fact. So usually I can deal with that, but it became so personal when it was like in the place that I lived, and it just almost felt like an attack. And so I didn't deal with that well. But then later on, after discussing that with her, I was like, "You're right. You're absolutely right. Like I need to know, where those things are going." And one of the big things is that the night before I applied for a position that's really important to me. And I won't find out till March 4th, so fingers and toes crossed, but it is a position that is would just I feel that I could do so much good work in, and I could help so many people. And so I realized there's opportunities. Like the opportunity, I'd walked out of the room and I said, I can't right now. I gotta go. So I went back up to my apartment after I talked with um, one of my colleagues. I processed and I went back down and I took the opportunity to go back down and say, I reacted because I had too many feelings in it. I agree with you that people have options. But when we talk about choice, and I was able to have an open discussion and we met and we understood one another. And I feel like we were both heard. And then when I applied for this position, it is something that I was scared. I was nervous. I am nervous, you know, since it is so important to me and what I do. It gave me this feeling at first of, what are you doing even applying? Are you sure that you can, that you're going to be able to do this or that or whatever? And all of these doubts like came, of course, just like waterfall rushing in. And I had to be like, does it matter? Because I'm never going to know unless I do it. And it may not work out or whatever. But that's about seizing opportunities. Whenever there's an opportunity, whether it's a chance to make someone feel heard, whether it's a chance to educate somebody, whether it's a chance at a new position, a lot of it has to do with life is it changes. It's about taking chances. And it's very exciting for me to understand that I am blessed in the opportunities that come my way and grateful for those opportunities. And what I want others to know is reach for them. Don't count yourself out. Seize it may not always work out, but seize those opportunities. Like grab them. It's the same thing like tonight. I've had meetings so if it seems a little scattered, bear with me because I've had a very, very long day and lots of meetings and I'm like so tired. But I wanted to like touch base because I'm really, really excited. But I also, wanted to talk about seizing opportunities and not counting yourself out because even in my community liaison work, you know, I'm for the Department of Neighborhoods, I'm the community liaison for the unhoused demographic. That's a lot of people, that's a big deal. And to let that demographic know that I can be your voice, tell me what you want on this project or whatever we having going on, and I will take your voice and I will make sure it is heard. And that's a powerful thing. And I really believe in that. But if I would have counted myself out, I never would have been able to do something that is so fulfilling and so important to me. So seize those darn opportunities. Even if they don't work out, there may be others that are coming along. And one thing I'm trying to always keep in mind is that what did I hear the other day? It was a saying, and it's your name is being mentioned in rooms your feet have not entered yet. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's something, when I feel insignificant, like I'm not making a difference, like I can't move. Like, I don't know what's going on out there. All I can do is make the differences here. And step by step, that's going to make the big differences. Yes, Karen, I am feeling well. I am not forgetting. I was just going, I was talking before I address comments because sometimes I get really, really distracted. Yeah, isn't that a good saying? And it's really just like, and it's been a few weeks since I heard it or saw it pop up on a timeline. I don't know. Um, I will take your voice and make sure it's heard. It sounds like an awesome congresswoman. See, and here's the thing. I don't want to be in politics. I don't. Um, it comes with a lot of, and part of that is because I'm not willing to compromise when it comes to people's lives. Um, when it comes right down to it, if somebody's like, "Hey, yeah, but the profit margin is here, but two people are going to die," I'm always going to side with the two dead people. Like, I don't care. Like, lives are priceless. That's what human rights is about. And so, what's amazing about the position that I applied for is that while there are politicians that are on the governing board, it is not a political position, but um, it still shapes legislation. It still shapes um, our foundation of what we're doing in for the vulnerable population, the displaced. And so it's a whole new thing. We're kind of revamping our efforts to make them more efficient, cost effective. It's really an exciting thing to be part of, and it's like it's growing pains as you develop new strategies. You have to develop with that and look to innovative and progressive measures to solve problems that honestly for a long time have been going on. Like, it didn't that's one thing I've told people, like, we didn't get to 15,000 plus homeless here. It started somewhere. In other words, it was left for years and years and years and years and years and years and years where people just didn't care. And now we have such an emergency because the scales tipped that now we're like, oh my gosh, now it's so much worse. Well, no, it's been progressing this long. The problem is solutions haven't kept up with that. And so what we're looking at is what we know now. We're going to look and say, okay, now we know that we have to shape policies looking at the future and looking at how that's not just going to shape now, but shape things to come and make things better for, the beings in our world. Um, Lynn, hi, Amanda. I'm looking to do something meaningful in terms of lending my time for some type of nonprofit organization that helps people. I'm retired now and have the time. Any suggestions? Okay. First suggestion is look in your area and find something that speaks to you. For some people, it's food. For some people, it's harm reduction. For some people, it's town halls. For some people, there's so many animals. There's so many scopes. And what I would say is it's actually, it's hard because you're catching me like right in between times. There is an app called the Strapped app, which will tell you all the resources in your area, and you could pick from there. But it's also switching to what's going to be called the Shelter app, and that's not going to be up and going until the beginning of March. So, my suggestion to you is to check with your local area and find something that if it's homelessness, whatever you want to do to help people, there is an organization for that, I promise you. Just type in your area, type into Google your area and type in, you know, um, feeding people, clothing people, helping the homeless, whatever. The only thing that I would be cautious of myself, but that's not the same as everybody, is that I myself tend to steer clear of religious organizations because many, 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 regardless of what they say they do, really are in a place of trying to recruit vulnerable people when they're at a stage in their life where that doesn't need to even be on their heads. And I think because people find solace and peace in certain things, that they think that, of course, somebody else is also going to find solace and peace in that same thing. And I think we need to be very, very careful when working with our vulnerable populations to deal with the issues that they have now. And then when, they are ready, or not when there's not that power gap. Because when you're doing outreach, there is a, a power imbalance, okay? You're coming from a place of privilege. Even now, when I go do outreach, I'm housed. I'm not unhoused anymore. I have lived experience. I'm not living experience. And so it's really important that I keep that in mind when serving the population, is that when I'm doing outreach, of course, if I'm promoting any kind of message, I'm going to get a pretty good agreement on it as long as I'm handing stuff out, because I'm holding the materials that they need. And that's what it's a power imbalance. And so it's very important to make sure that the message is saving lives. The message is housing and healthcare. And that's the flatline message. And that we're not aligning with any discriminatory practices. So that's something that's really important to me. That's not important to everybody, but for your own thing, just research, see what's out there. Each organizations differ by area, and it really differs between like cities and rural areas too. Which exciting news! As we expand from just like Seattle and into King County and other areas like Pierce, we're looking at ways to do more outreach and education with rural communities. So if you are from a rural community and you are looking for any kind of training, any kind of resource development, or anything else, get a hold of me. We can get that started, especially if your area is lacking in harm reduction services. Those need to be instilled in every single area. Regardless of what your feelings about it are, our country is in the grips of an opioid opiate epidemic, and people are dying, and we have to save lives. So, and in the end, isn't that what it's about? Making sure that people can thrive, which is another thing. I'm not going to do like a whole thing on it. I'll probably do like another vlog at another time, but I want to just make a quick point here. We need to stop coming from a place where it's good enough, or you should be grateful for anything. Okay. I have literally seen this saying with people sleeping in moldy, decrepit, falling apart, foundation crumbling places. But, well, at least you have a place to sleep at night. No, that's played out. Quit it. That's been, if you want, like Middle Ages, look at, if we haven't come cognitively past the Middle Ages, then we need to rethink. And this whole idea of, oh, the warm and fuzzies over doing the bare minimum, especially when it comes to nonprofits. This is something that I feel very passionately about. I feel that if you are a nonprofit that deals with helping the vulnerable, then you need to do that. And you don't need to, if you can't fully help them, then you need to find a different avenue. Support an organization that can fully help them. But it's not. And what I'm talking about, I saw a thing with people like laying on pews, and everybody was getting the warm and fuzzies about it. And somebody said, well, at least somebody started to do something. It's better than nothing. This better than nothing attitude played out. It's old news, whatever, throw it away. Okay. This, from the time I was little, I've heard that saying, and it is used to dismiss people, it is used to exploit people, and it is used to demean people. There is not, it's good enough if people's basic human rights are not being met. It is not good enough to sleep on a mat and worry about sexual assault. It is not good enough to worry about bugs. It is not good enough to have seniors with hip problems and spine problems and all of the issues that come with that, sleeping in unsafe, unsanitary, hard conditions. That's not, it's not good enough. And it's not going to be. And I don't know what's up with us in this wanting to feel the warm fuzzies about things that should be much better. But part of the issue is we have to recognize when it's not good enough and say, that's not good enough. Human rights are human rights. We need to meet basic human rights. Just Maslow's if you go to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, just the basic for survival for any species across the board is food, water, and adequate habitat. And for human beings, that is housing. And so if it's less than that, it's not better than nothing. We have to get to the point where it's good enough. So I went on a rant about that. I'm sorry. Um, I have a habit of doing that, especially when it's what I'm passionate about. And what, thank you, Akshay. I try. And actually, research is one of my passions. Certified researcher by any means, but science is something that I really truly believe in. I believe in innovation. I believe in science. I believe that we are the culmination of all the knowledge before us. In other words, right now, you are the being from every other being before. And so we have all of this knowledge and all of this growing and burgeoning and this beautiful blooming of knowledge upon knowledge upon knowledge. And I think that it's our duty to try to further that while we're here, because our generations will be the culmination of the knowledge that we sought. So the knowledge that I seek and I garner, which of course is going to be tiny because there's just so much out there, so much information. So the knowledge that I have will be passed on, and so it causes a ripple effect. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about scientific discovery and the scientific method. And yeah, I could go on and on. So um, all right, another thing. So moving on. Um, when I did the written stories, I found that even though it was rather short, I really enjoyed it. And I was thinking of a way to do it and one thing I haven't been doing is putting a whole lot on my Patreon. And I thought that's absolutely perfect. So now, um, the stories of my life, I'm going to like start putting, there'll be short stories, of course, but of my memories and things like that will be on my Patreon. And of course, there's a link on that in the descriptions. But I'm going to kind of start it there. I'm not at the book writing stage yet. Okay. I am, I am dipping my toes into the writing. As it were. But I'm gonna do my best because a lot of the writing that I do at this point for my work and what I do in the community, a lot of it is academic, and so writing from a place of personal experience and memories is something that's a little different. I've never really been a journaler or anything. So I've tried hard. I've kept like journals and then I would like rip the pages out. It was crazy and I don't even mess with it anymore. Um, but anyway, does anybody have any questions? And Akshay, no, I am not. However, I do imagine at some point I will foray into some some method. Okay, so I'm just oh, I'm an inspiration. Thank you. Oh my gosh. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me. There's some amazing things happening. Today was, oh gosh, an amazing, amazing day. There's a lot going on. And it's gonna be great because I'll do vlogs throughout, so you'll be able to keep up with it. Yay. And tomorrow I am going to a women's shelter called the Elizabeth Gregory House. And I'm going to meet with them and kind of learn a little bit more about their organization, talk to the women there, see what they need. And of course, as always, in the description link, there is also a Amazon wish list. And there is a lot of supplies for the unhoused. There's also personal items on there, but I always try to mark the personal as lowest priority and personal so that you know the rest is usually marked for outreach. So you'll be able to tell which one's which, but I'll be going there to see kind of what they need, what I can do to help them, um, and just learn about some more amazing organizations because that's all we can do is reach out and learn the most we can about our world. Yay. And seize those opportunities. So I hope that I have given somebody some hope somewhere. And I just want to thank all of you for being there. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.